This work of Jesus, as he divinizes human acts, continues in you. Jesus has another life in you because you have accepted the gift of living in the divine will. With your life, he continues his breaths, his movements, his thoughts, his words, all divine acts that multiply over all centuries, and all souls to divinize the acts done with the use of the human will. In this way, the Father continues to receive the love and glory he should receive. Now all human acts from the first to the last man are divine, the only acts worthy of a holy God. Also, souls receive a benefit from these divine acts as they choose to respond. Jesus describes this to Luisa. In spite of the fact that the act is one, it shines down as sun on creatures, and some it embellishes, others it fecundates with grace, some it frees from the cold, in others it softens their hearts, in some she dissipates the darkness, and some it purifies and inflames, giving to each one the different effects that they need, and according to the greater or lesser dispositions of each. Each additional act done in my volition is an additional sun that shines over all creatures. As incredible as this may seem, remember it has everything to do with Jesus being able to operate in us as we sacrifice our human will in every moment to the divine will. No moment is insignificant. Luisa once wondered how it was possible that Jesus would want to do her work. Jesus told Luisa, "My fingers are in yours, and they are working. My daughter, when I was on the earth, didn't my hands abase themselves to work the wood, to beat the nails, and help my foster father Joseph in the workshop? And while I did this with those fingers, I was creating souls. And of the other souls, I was calling them to the other life. I divinized all human actions. I continued the life of Nazareth in them," Luisa's fingers. "The hidden life that I did in Nazareth is not calculated by men, whereas after my passion nothing could have done them more good than that." What happens if you interrupt this continuous succession of divine acts as you use your human will? Let's say in the last breath you took, you muttered an unkind word against your neighbour. That moment fails to be divine, so it cannot divinize human acts. Also, Jesus says to you, "I can't do that act in you because I am a holy God. But I won't leave you. Instead, I will suffer another blow to my face in you to compensate the Father for your sin of murmuring." For that moment, the Father still receives the glory he deserves, but it is at the expense of Jesus. If you develop a constant awareness of this, you will be careful not to lose even a moment to your human will. Jesus knows we will fail over and over again, and at times he will suffer a continuation of his passion in all of us. But he won't leave us. The road to perfection is long, but it is not impossible with God doing the work. Remember, even if you fail at times, you still have the gift of the divine will, unless you no longer want it. Of course, if you refuse to give up some sin, you are telling God you would rather do your own will and not his. So you really don't want the gift of living in the divine will. If you do want the gift, act like you want it, understanding how important every act is in God's plan. Where are you when Jesus is breathing in your breath? You are right there doing the activity with him. This is where we go back to Jesus' advice to go about your day saying, "It is Jesus who wants to go to the store and I am together with him," and on and on. This will help you make the shift in your understanding. You will disappear in Jesus as you develop an awareness of watching and feeling Jesus during the day while he uses your hands, walks in your steps, breathes in your breath. Doing your acts is really practicing this awareness throughout the day so you don't drift back into your own will and get caught up in your own activity, forgetting you have given Jesus your life. Doing your acts is being attentive to Jesus acting in and with you. You may never feel Jesus flow in your ears, in my eyes, in my mouth, in everything, as Luisa did. But that doesn't mean you are doing something wrong. In fact, there is greater merit when you do something for God without the consolation of a supernatural experience. You are doing your acts in faith. And don't worry about what Jesus will do with your acts behind the veil in the heavenly realm. Jesus told Luisa to give him absolute dominion in all her acts, without wanting to know what he does with them. Now you are beginning to live the unity with God that the saints enjoy in heaven. And more importantly, God is receiving the benefit of his creation. He can begin to enjoy a garden of paradise in you, even if it is interrupted on occasion by acts in your own human will. You are slowly but surely returning to the order, place, and purpose for which you were created. The mysterious boundary between heaven and earth is disappearing in you. Rounds are a continuation of Jesus' prayers. These can be best understood if you look at the big picture. Adam's sin started a chain reaction of acts not done in the divine will and of sin. Even something as innocent as a heartbeat was no longer pleasing to God because it would now be done with the human will. This chain reaction resulted in billions of souls not glorifying the Father in their every act, and worse still, insulting God with their sins. The rest of innocent creation suffered also. Creation could not fully glorify God without their priests. Man was to act as the priest, recognizing the love in every creature and offering it back to the Father for his glory in a divine manner. God's justice requires that the Father receive the glory he deserves from all his creatures, and that he be justly compensated for the injustices of sin. Jesus' life started a new chain reaction to accomplish this justice. His life in us is a continuation of this chain. When the Father receives all compensation and every bit of glory he should have received, then the work of the redemption and sanctification will be done. The chain reaction of Adam's sin will be reversed.